Item 1, evacuation procedure. Do I have to read all of it out because we've only, everybody knows it? Everybody happy?
We should sing it as a song, shouldn't we?
Yeah, come on then.
You did it well,
You can start it. Your idea, we'll have it for next time, okay? Get some practice in. Apologies for absence. We have apologies from Councillor Clues, Councillor Smith, and apologies from Councillor Humphreys and Councillor Osborne. Somebody propose acceptance?
Opposed.
Councillor Bates, seconded by Councillor Millier. Thank you. Disclosable pecuniary and non-pecuniary interest. As and when? Okay, thank you. Agenda item 4, public participation. We have not. This is the way to have a meeting. Minutes of the previous meeting, held on the 12th of November 24. Somebody got to move that. Moved by Councillor Millier, seconded by Councillor Bates. All those in favour? It's unanimous, thank you. Right. Agenda item 6, North Warwickshire Community Safety Partnership update. Report from the Chief Exec. Over to Julie.
Thank you, Chair. Everyone's seen a copy of the report. I'm just going to highlight a few kind of key areas. I just want, can you not hear me?
Yeah.
Don't like these things. Let's move a bit closer. I'm just going to highlight a few key parts of the report. I think for me, predominantly is about the data which informs what we do. So on paragraph 4, I just really wanted to highlight there is some positive aspects of our performance this meeting. These are around real crime, road collisions, violent offences, knife-related violence, and domestic-related violence. These are all lower than previous years. However, still of note in terms of the performance with higher levels than last year. We've got 40% of our violence with injury is domestic related and often found in the home. We still got high levels of residential and vehicle offences, child exploitation, persistent absence rates and suspension exclusions from school. So I just wanted to flag those up and then just highlight kind of how we sort of tackle some of that. So in paragraph 6 around problem solving, that's where we pick up that data and start looking at what we're going to do. So you've got a number of different things there that we've set out around vehicle crime, what we're doing around violence in Coleshill, the work that we're doing around motorway services, predominantly calling around HGVs, and then particularly around serious violence and ASB, the work that we're doing in Atherstone around Operation Resolve to reduce some of those statistics. I also wanted to highlight as well, because there's often quite a lot of discussion about ASB, and when ASB reports come into the council, they either come into one central location and then they go to environmental health, housing, or they stay with me. Just to give you a flavour for what's going on out there. In terms of numbers, in 2023, we had 176 reports. So 176 came into North Warwickshire. But in 2024, we have 365 reports. So, and they are a combination of things. So it can be around pollution, it can be about neighbourhood disputes. But my feeling was that we seem to be dealing with quite a lot of ASB, and whether that's people's tolerance levels about what they deem to be acceptable or not. But I just wanted to flag that up. That's a huge increase in terms of the numbers that we're looking at, whether that be housing, looking into them, environmental health for myself. So there's different aspects there, and they do vary massively from somebody parking outside somebody's house to where we're getting mediation for neighbourhood disputes. So I just really wanted to flag that up. Under paragraph 8, under the partnership plan updates, particularly last year, we spent quite a bit of time looking at the Atherstone Public Space Protection Order that we I think I reported the last meeting that had been approved. It was just really just to highlight those signage for that should be going up within the next month. So it's really just to give you an idea about how that's progressed. So signage will be going up and everybody like the police can actually use that power to address ASB. And then just a few other things I just wanted to highlight. Under domestic homicide, I just wanted to highlight that we've actually we've completed our first, well, since I've been in this role, first domestic homicide review and submitted it to the Home Office. So we've got 3 that we've been involved with, 2 that's still ongoing, 1 that's been submitted. And then what happens is basically the insurance panel reviews that to see that we've undertaken enough work as agencies to see whether there was due diligence and whether we did do enough to support that individual. And then if there had been other support within the situation, how would it have arisen? So it's all done by an independent chair. We appoint an independent chair. The report gets written alongside all the agencies. That's been approved and is now been submitted to the Home Office, and they will be reviewing that in September. That's the first time that they will be able to look at that. And then from there, it'll either be signed off or we'll need to look at it again. So just wanted to flag that up. And then and the other area was just around flood funding. We've spent all the funding that we've been allocated this year. All the projects are listed under paragraphs 9. And there's a whole mixture across all the community safety priorities. So I just wanted to just reassure everybody all that was all the work has been allocated and spent where it should have been spent. Has anyone got any questions?
Councillor Jackson.
I'm really thank you for all that you've done on the report. It's really detailed. I was just really concerned about the increase in antisocial behaviour, particularly seeing a lot going on in my area. And I noticed that you have the meetings with the multi-agencies. I'm just wondering if any councillors could attend that to see whether we can try and help to reduce the antisocial behaviour in the areas. You know, I've spoke to you personally about 4 arson attacks, which we believe are the youths in the area. We've also got nuisance motorbikes being a big problem going between all the different villages in our area as well, which is a really big concern. And we've got all the signs up, clean, stop bikes and things. But yeah, just wondered if that was, yeah.
Thank you. Just on that, so I'm not sure how the ASB meetings were set up, but I don't. They're run in all of the districts, and I don't think there is councillor involvement. But I will check that out and come back to you. In terms of the information that we look at those meetings, basically there's 2 aspects. There's one which is case management, and the case management is all risk assessed. So the police, or it could be housing, or another partner agency, will risk assess an individual. When they score high, it's only high ASB cases that come to the meeting. So we only look at high risk. Then separately to that, so you have one which is case management. We also discuss at those meetings all the interventions, tools and powers that we can reduce ASB within any location.
Yeah.
And then the second aspect of that set of minutes or agenda is that we also look at locations. So we look at what's going on, which is a high priority in certain locations within North Warwickshire. So certainly we can look at the information around the arson under location based as opposed to the case management piece of work.
Yeah.
And I can find out about council involvement. I'm not sure why councillors aren't involved,
Yeah.
but I can certainly find out and come back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes, Richard. The antisocial behaviour, is that potentially linked with our increase in children absent from school? Is there a direct correlation with that? This is happening during around those times.
I don't know if we could say that there is, but I think what we would or what the police would probably confirm, is that you do see some young people who are not in school causing antisocial behaviour. And I'm thinking at the moment there's some work that we're doing in Kingsbury, and that's very much the case, 100% for that situation. But I don't know if we can say 100%. I think with the, because I'm concerned about the absence from school and suspensions and all of that, and I'll talk about it after this report about our new priorities, and it's being picked up in that piece of work. But there is definitely some work to be done around that.
Councillor Watson?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And I was looking at the school dates that you've got, and one school that I thought I might see there is High Meadows School in Coleshill. And the reason I say that is because I'm aware that the police have been involved with some antisocial behaviour, actually from parents around parking time, rather than the kids themselves. I just wondered if there was any way that it could be done for High Meadows.
Yes, I mean, from is this Demi PCSO? Is the PCSO Demi been involved in some of that work?
I think Demi has, but it was actually Adam, the PS Skelsey, who was involved because. But the funny thing was they wanted to cancel it. They said actually we're not going to progress it now because it's been quiet. Well, it's been the 6 weeks holidays. Newsflash, of course, it's been quiet. Yeah, and but as soon as they went back to school, it all started again. Trying to do something at the county level around the zigzags, etc., and yellow lines, but that's taken a bit longer.
I think it's certainly something that we can pick up. I know I've helped fund through partnership funding various pieces of work around road safety. So road safety banners. I've also got interactive road safety kind of equipment to go into schools, like mainly the younger ones. This is nurseries and primary schools. I know there is an issue, and certainly Demi has purchased cones as well for some of the schools in her location to help with some of the road safety issues. So, but happy to talk to you outside the meeting and
Yeah,
pick
if
that
we
up.
could, because the crazy thing is the school's got the little sign, the signs that says don't park here, no parking, etc. And they just don't bother on putting them out. So I just wonder whether it's worth going into the school and just re-educating us and saying, look, if you're doing this.
What I can confirm is the PCSOs are doing quite a lot of work at the moment around road safety and schools. So I think we can get that followed up.
Could I just follow on from what Martin's just said? That the first question is there a crossing warden there?
No, there's not. No. I mean, the High Meadows, I don't know if you know the High Meadows, because it's right on a bend.
Yeah.
It's really not the best place, but it is where it is. It's a school.
County, they have a magical figure. You have to score 4 million to qualify for a crossing warden. We had that down Race Meadow, and we did score just over the 4 million, which got the crossing warden. And the crossing wardens are there. It's a bit of a joke, but they share a body cam, and the police use that body cam then and the evidence of that to follow up. And also, I go down there, as it's on my patch, and if I see somebody parked illegally, just take a photograph of it, send it to the police, and they go and have a bit of a door knock. And it does, I mean, not to speak to experience, it does seem to work. You only need a couple of door knocks done, and it gets round the parents, well, they're watching us, and the zigzag that are put down there have been kept clear. So one, I would suggest, ask the Safer Routes to School to do a score on the whether they qualify for a crossing warden, and try and move it through that way. But as I say, if you take photographs of illegally parked cars, the police do follow them up, or they certainly do in our area.
Yeah, but this is where people have done that, residents have done that, and then the parents are getting out threatening the residents with violence. So it's a known problem.
Do it discreetly. I do. You hold the phone at that sort of level and just click it as you're going along a few times. And just say, experience says that it does work. They go and knock on a few doors, and the word soon gets round that you can't park on the zigzags. Councillor Phillips.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think take some of the pressure off. We introduced parking in our borough, so we can have parking wardens. And I know they have to be out making money, but can't we have one of them go just one morning a week to one of these schools every so often and just fly the flag? Wouldn't that be an effective use of them? I mean, they can't be out
We've tried that down here, and it's not their job to
ticket
schools.
cars. The ticket
to do schools. If they're parked illegally crossing a double yellow line,
yeah.
then they can do it. But their sort of brief doesn't cover just police in schools, believe it or believe it not. We've tried it.
Could we change their brief?
Well,
As I say, it seems like,
yeah.
as I say, it's, yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean,
if it's something we want to
believe
do.
it, we've tried that. I'm not speaking about school in my area, but
Yeah,
it's a generic thing throughout the area.
yeah.
But I mean, the wardens are operating in Alveston are the same ones that Coleshill, and they're all of the same team, so they all work to the same brief,
Yeah.
and they work for county council. And maybe it's worth having a word with county council, getting them to, because certainly that's what we've done around our way. Not too much success, I will say, but if enough people knock on the door, we might get an answer.
Or just get a new county council.
Councillor Bates.
Thank you. I just wanted to come back to Joe's point regarding the antisocial behaviour meetings that have been happening in Kingsbury, just to acknowledge the hard work and the collaboration of those meetings, because it does seem to be working somewhat in Kingsbury. So I just wanted to acknowledge the work and the collaboration that's been going on in the team.
Thank you.
Anyone? So councillor Rudy first then. The ladies first, shall we?
Just to echo the thanks for all of the work. I had a few questions. So we've had a few vehicles stolen in the villages. And I just wondered if there's any sort of correlation with the fact that we've had quite a few Nottingham knockers, as they're called, in the villages recently. The sort of the young lads who pretended from a probation scheme. I think last time they came out, they pretended they were from a learning difficulties charity. So I just wondered if there's been any sort of correlation, and if so, is there any sort of education we could do? I try and do my bit on the village WhatsApps and the Facebook groups, just educating about these young men. Is there anything that we could do as a council? I also just thought it was important to put on record our thanks to the local MP who has been raising freight crime in Parliament. So she's talked about it 4 times in the last 4 months and secured a debate on this, and also has put forward a private members bill. So for those of you who don't know about it, it's to secure a separate crime code so that you can code thefts from vehicles, for example, at Corley Services. Because at the moment they're just lumped in with any sort of vehicle crime, which makes it hard for the police to pull those out. So I just thought it might be an idea for this committee to write to the Home Office to support her bill.
Probably Julia can answer better than I, but I know when we chaired the RAG meeting last week, that was a specific agenda item on there. So it's not, as far as the RAG meeting, it's not RAG, Responsible Authorities Group. It's not sort of lumped in with others. That was a specific agenda item. So it is being looked at as a standalone issue.
It is, but in terms of when it's recorded, if you change the law, it makes it easier for police to put resources into it. So it's a technical thing. But I just thought it might be nice for this committee. I know there's often a lot of sort of political banter, but it'd be nice where an MP is doing something positive to tackle a crime that is affecting this constituency, this borough rather. It might be nice just to put on record our thanks. And maybe if we can get some more information about it, they'll consider writing to the Home Office to support it.
Chair, so here's mine. Just so on both of those things, just to say vehicle crime is a national issue at the moment, and we are being hit in North Warwickshire along with many other districts, and we know it's an issue, and I think you'll see on social media there is a lot of kind of social media coverage at the moment about checking car security and going out in and around the whole of the district. It's being covered all over the district, and particularly hotspot locations there as well. But yes, that's a national issue, and I don't think that's going to go away too soon. What we are doing is a lot of education around that and about keeping our cars more secure. We are trying to do quite a lot of stuff around Faraday packs, about keyless car motors. I always get that wrong. So there is a lot of work going on to try and educate and prevent. In terms of what you were asking about the door knockers, I haven't been made aware of any issues, so I don't want to say there isn't an issue, but I haven't been made of in none of the meetings that I've attended has that come up as a concern in North Warwickshire. So, but I will take that back and just check in terms of that. In terms of HGVs and the motorway services, we've actually, as a partnership, as the Community Safety Partnership, been doing a lot of work at Crawley for a very long time. And I think it would be fair to say that we've managed to put up signage, we've done a lot of engagement events, and we've talked at length with the services about changes that can take place that would improve the issues around HGV and the slashing of curtains. They do happen on both sides of the motorway, so they happen both on the south side and the north side. And on one side you have got good CCTV coverage as well. So on one side you haven't, and on the other side you have. On the south side, people can leave the motorway services via a back road. And that is a really big issue because people can get away very, very quickly. The conversations that have been had we're at a point in terms of the services need to do something, because we can keep on doing the education, we can provide all the information to anybody who turns up in a lorry, but there's a point in which a barrier needs to be replaced and hasn't been replaced for years.
Decades.
More CCTV needs to be invested on that site. The police can only do so much work in terms of their side of it, and they are getting arrests. So they have been very successful in getting arrests. And I think sometimes it gets lost within all the other communication, but there has been a number of arrests, and they are all organised crime groups. So organised crime. So we know they've come from the north, and we know they've come from the south. So they've come from Yorkshire way, and those that have been arrested, and London way. So it is an issue, and it's again, we don't think we will ever really make a difference on that data performance until something more substantially is done on site. Certainly, I think in terms of what you were saying about this bill, anything that supports a reduction potentially in crime is really valuable. But I think it's just to reassure people that there's been a lot of work that has gone on, but there needs to be a lot more, and there needs to be an investment by the site. Really, that's where we're because otherwise we can only do so much, and we're probably not really making a big enough or substantial difference to these kind of crime figures. And going forward, it will be a priority going forward.
It's fair to add as well that Tamworth Services is it's not as big as Crawley, but it's the same sort of thing there.
We've got issues with vehicle crime, but we've also at Tamworth we've got issues. The major issue at the moment is shoplifting.
Yeah.
Substantial shoplifting.
So would we like to potentially write in support of the bill? Would that, we think, generating additional stats and supporting that volume would be good?
My own opinion,
Yeah.
there is no politics in here.
Yeah.
That's where I would come from. There is no politics, and if there's something we can do to support it, then let's do it.
It's
If
like,
it works, great. If it doesn't, well, we've tried. I think that, if you want to propose that, I'll certainly second it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Is that, you okay with that, Julie?
Yeah, Chair.
Because obviously it'll,
Yeah, through you. I'm sorry, I didn't pick up on that point. And yes, you know, I'd be very supportive of that. And if that improves the data that we can get, you know, it's invaluable at the end of the day. But I will take on board what Councillor Jarvis said. We do, when we look at our data in meetings, like the RAG meeting, for whatever reason, we do seem to get clear data about HGV. So I am a little bit confused by that aspect, but I think anything that improves our data collection and informs what we need to do, it's got to be a good thing.
just add to that, I think one of the reasons that we do get good data is we've got good people working, collating that data. Because it's easy to, you know, just to put stuff under the counter and disregard it. But we have got good people picking up the data. And when we're in the RAG meetings, they're debated properly. It's not just giving it lip service. It is done, you know, we flog it to death until, you know, until we get something that's positive out of it.
Shall I ask Rachel's office to get in touch with you and they can give you sort of more concrete details about the bill?
Yeah, thank you.
I've got a couple of things actually. So on the Alston PSPO, we don't just because it's been about 6 months now. Do we know when the signage is going to be installed? Because it's only a three-year duration and 6 months of it's gone. I don't believe it's enforceable without the signage, is it?
I think it
It is.
is. I think it is enforceable, but I think it is enforceable still
Okay.
without the signage. But the signage, they're being printed now. So they literally just need to be installed.
Okay. And on the Longley PSPO, what's the status of that? Because again, that was approved for consultation in November, and it says in the report it's been prepared for consultation.
So the consultation has all been prepared. We've got to go out to all the landowners as well. We've got to go to highways. We've got to go to a whole range of people. There is only me who does this work, all of this work. Yes, you know, I'm trying to get one piece of work completed and start the other one. And we've also got like Kingsbury Injunctions. We've got I'm taking signs down for car cruising at the moment. So yes, take your point on that, but it's in preparation. Well, it's prepared. It's ready to go.
There was a couple of items that referred to reviews. There's one on ASB reviews, and then you mentioned the domestic homicide reviews. I assume there's kind of nothing that's come out of those. That's, I guess the domestic homicide one's still in progress. It's got to be, particularly the ASB reviews. I assume it just says they were completed, but there's no comments about the outcome. Was there anything?
So just to describe what an ASB review is, so they used to be called community triggers, and it's basically when two people feel that there's no resolution, so they haven't got a resolution to their concern. And so the purpose of the ASB reviews, and obviously they are personal information, is that we bring those people together and we look at what we can do to try and find some resolution. I kind of mediate those sessions. In all of the 3 reviews that we've had, we found a solution that's been agreeable. So
That wasn't up to detail.
Yeah, I know it's really difficult because a lot of this is confidential. So, but yes, in all 3 cases, we've managed to actually find resolutions.
Yeah, that's good.
To actually resolve the problems.
Okay.
And sorry, and can I just say, and sometimes we get ASB reports in that they won't meet the criteria of necessarily an ASB review, but because there's substantial content there, we might then push it through to mediation. So there's 2 at the moment that we've accessed mediation service to try and not get to the point of having an ASB review.
Yeah.
So we look at the individual circumstances.
On the Police and Crime Commission update section, there was a suggestion there that there was a desire to merge all the CSP into a single one with Cole County. And I was glad that it said that the response has not been positive to that. I just wonder if we could get some more detail on what the proposal was that was sent by the PCC. It'd be helpful to know more detail around that if possible.
just, yeah, again, on that, I'm happy to share the original letter that we got from the Police and Crime Commissioner. And as you probably can appreciate from their perspective, it'd be easy just to deal with one CSP as opposed to a number of CSPs across Warwickshire. So I can understand why they wanted it, but from our perspective and from all the responsible authorities' perspective, we will lose sight of local issues and we'll become about generic themes, you know. So I think every district pushed back on that.
If I could just come in on that, correct, everybody wanted to keep it local because everybody's got problems that are unique to their areas, and the number of generic problems are very, very few. And certainly when I spoke to Philip Second, I made it very clear that we want to remain as a group so we can deal with our problems and not end up dealing with the problem in Warwick that doesn't even it's nowhere near our patch, but it's nowhere near what we need. And so in the police and crime meeting, everybody made the same point, that keep it local.
Yeah.
Because these are local meetings, they're not
Well, it's in the name, it's a community safety partnership.
yeah,
You can't
exactly.
The next question I had, which was to do with the funding, which you touched on, and it did say that there was originally planned some funding for Operation Reduce. I wasn't quite sure what that was. I was really confused because when I searched the rest of the report for Operation Reduce, there seemed to be, I think they might have been in the second bit we'll come on to, but there was two mentions of an Operation Reduce, one which seemed to be related to county lines and one which was car crime.
That's not good. That's me getting my operations confused.
We want to be on the naming convention.
It's all these R's. Apologies for that. Yes, originally it was Coleshill Safe Neighbourhoods team who approached me and said they would like some funding to support their campaign around Operation Reduce. But then as it went on, it was a small amount of money, it was £500, but as it went on, they ended up saying that they didn't need the funding, so withdrew their application. So as such, we got £500 less in terms of we got 29,500 instead of 30,000.
Yeah. The last point I had, which was, I think you made the comment about rural crime being fairly flat, but looking into the detail, it looks like there's some things that have been taken out, some things that have been put in, so it's not really a like-for-like measure. And also there was a huge increase of about 33% the previous year, so although it's maybe not got any worse, it's at a very high level. So yeah, I've been feeding into the next item. It's good that is still being kept on the agenda.
Yes, I think we're really mindful. We're in a very rural location as well, and it's really important that that issue is addressed. But yes, I take on your point, and then it is a priority going forward.
One thing that I'm certainly watching is that the Rural Crime Coordinator, Carol Cottrell, retired last Friday, and I've written to Philip Second and stressed highly that she needs replacing with somebody that's of similar calibre, because she was the Royal Crime team. She coordinated it very, very well, and so I wrote to Philip Second the other day and said that she needs to be replaced with somebody of a good calibre. Okay, any other questions? If not, I'll move the recommendation from the chair. It's printed. Anybody wish to second? Seconded by Councillor Bates. All those in favour? It's unanimous, thank you. Right. Item 7. Agenda item 7. The North Warwickshire Community Safety Partnership Strategic Assessment. It's the Julie Taylor Show.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so this report is primarily about how our priorities are informed. So every year we have well, every quarter we have our performance data prepared by our analysts at the county. Every year we will have an overall summary of how we're performing as a district. But every 4 years, and this is new to me because I wasn't here 4 years ago, but every 4 years they will undertake a strategic, it used to be called needs assessment, I think it's changed to strategic assessment of community safety, to look at all of the performance data and to identify what our priorities were and what they should be going forward. And so at the Responsible Authorities meeting, we basically reviewed the report, which is a very detailed, lengthy report, in terms of considering what the priorities should be going forward. So we did have 4 priorities, and we've now got 6 priorities that have been approved by the Responsible Authorities group. And I'll explain what the differences are. So the first one we've got now is domestic violence, with a focus on reducing, preventing long-term repeat victimisation. So with this, we did have a serious violence priority previously, but when they've looked at data now, they feel that that should be more narrowly focused around just domestic violence for North Warwickshire. I suppose the other thing that I will say with this is that we'll still review it in a year's time, and if that needed to be, if there was more emerging issues, then we would consider those emerging issues. But for now, they're saying we should have a better focus on domestic violence in terms of that kind of area of work. The second one is with residential burglary and vehicle crime, with a focus on locations close to the M6. So this is coming back to the data issue and trying to be a little bit more targeted in what we're doing. It will not exclude areas. So if there's spikes in crime around vehicle crime and burglary in other areas, they will still be considered. But what this is saying is our focus should be on those locations in and around the M6 area, because that's where the hotspots are currently. So that was the second one, and that was picked up. We had that as a priority last time. Rural crime, as you just mentioned, again, nothing's changed with that. That's deemed as a priority going forward based on the same principles as were set out before. And then road safety, we've got a focus on road traffic collisions resulting in people killed or seriously injured. Again, we had road safety previously, but again, it might be that we want to be a bit more targeted in terms of what and how we deliver against that priority. This is more specific. We've now got business crime and motorway services, so that's going to pick up Tamworth Services and Crawley, and it feeds into kind of the bill as well. They complement one another really. Again, reducing incidents of freight crime. It's very specific. It's about the HGV work. So again, this is an opportunity to have some more conversations. And then really around Tamworth Services, it's about the shoplifting, and that's quite bad at the moment. So they want to get on top of that. And then finally, this is a very specific one and new, is environmental antisocial behaviour. So what you're looking at there is your fly tipping. And I think that's been picked up in other meetings, and I've had conversations with Sharon Gallagher, the health manager, about bigger spotlight in terms of community safety and fly tipping. So that was what was agreed. That's been agreed by all the responsible authorities. They've approved that now, and those will be our priorities going forward. So any reports that I prepare will be linked to this. The other things that were mentioned and picked up in my previous report was about that vulnerability of children specifically. So basically, again, looking at children who are excluded, permanently excluded, or not in school, education or training. Originally, there was a consideration that was going to be a priority in itself. The issues that we put forward with that was we can educate and provide a number of community safety programs that can go into school to try and influence and address the issues, but we probably can't make a difference actually on those attainment numbers. That is for education to look at. So we see we've got a place at the table in terms of we need to contribute to this agenda, but we can't. We feel that's really a cross-cutting theme and will cut across all of our work in terms of community safety. And the other two areas which we've had before, reducing reoffending, which is an ongoing issue, and substance misuse. So we do quite a lot of education around substance misuse, particularly younger people. So those are the 3 cross-cutting and the 6 priorities going forward. And just in terms of delivery, for me, there's 2 different aspects. There's the local delivery, the district, what we do, and there's what's possibly going to happen around some of this work anyway, which happens at a county level. So there is like road safety partnerships. And for me, as we move forward, it's about preparing our partnership plan and looking at a small number of actions that we're going to make a difference on in North Warwickshire, as opposed to what might happen anyway. So the other thing was just to highlight that the full council notice of motion around domestic abuse. So that aligns nicely with one of our 6 priorities going forward. And there is already quite a lot of conversations around domestic abuse work and raising awareness and activities that we're going to consider going forward. And on that note, I think when the notice of motion was passed, I think there was agreement that a presentation should be made to this meeting. So we were looking at June to have a presentation around domestic abuse and what that looks like in North Warwickshire and the things that we can do to improve and address some of those issues. Just on that note, I do think if we can, around our priorities, have a presentation at most meetings. I think that would be really helpful to try and get our teeth into some of these issues. And then the last bit, which is really the county's role, I've just noted in this report that they have undertaken their annual review. So like we will assess what we're doing on an annual basis. They've undertaken their annual review and they've got, they call it a community safety agreement. They've got a workshop around their community safety agreement coming up on the 11th of April. So it was really just to flag those key things up.
Thanks, Julie. Councillor Watson.
Yeah, thanks for that. Really kind of detailed report, and you know, it's all about the statistics, isn't it? Because that's where you focus your efforts. But I'm glad to see fly tipping in there, because I think if I was reading further down the report, it's double. Like last year, we had double. It was like nearly 100% increase on the previous year. So it is a real problem for lots of our communities, and particularly the rural ones and the villages. So glad to see that in there.
Councillor Jackson.
Again, a really good report. I was really concerned about Island Whittaker being included in the highest areas for domestic abuse. So I'm really pleased that that's one of the biggest priorities of your area. My other concern is there's national campaigns being looked at the moment about road safety and young drivers. I was just wondering if there's any plans for things to happen in schools to play like videos or do courses to highlight the dangers of like speeding again with the young drivers, because you know obviously we're hoping to get the stage licensing, but in the meantime we're getting more and more deaths across.
Through your chair. So we've got quite an exciting project coming up. So it's called Operation Edward. It's going to be piloted in North Warwickshire and the south of the county. I'm not sure quite which location. The proposal, because we have a number of deaths on the road, and particularly young drivers, there is at the moment it's not all sorted, so they've had one meeting, but there is basically a proposal to produce like an education project that's very specific to this location around road users, road safety, and working with schools and also like NFU, young farmers. So there is actually a piece of work, but I think for me, what I want to see is that we make sure that Warwickshire Fire and Rescue are linked in, and at the moment they weren't at the meeting. I don't think they were invited, so but I think it's really important that all partners are around the table too. Because one of the things we can do with CSP funding going forward, we'll have funding again for next year, is that we can then allocate an amount of funding to maybe do a promotional video or something that's
Yeah.
sustainable that can continue to be shared.
Only because when I was at school, there was 2 that were killed by the stepdad. He was driving, showing off the car around a tree, and we had, I think, 16 weeks of intensive videos and things being played to us in schools about, and it was really graphic. But it stayed with us all forever. You know, like I speak to some of my other friends now, and they're all like, every time I get in the car, I always think about the videos that we watched, and I think they're really good. Should be great.
Would you be interested in something like that? Because,
Definitely, yeah.
one of my colleagues is going to lead on that piece of work. You know, I work with her every day. I can't think of her name.
Anything to do with road, you know, anything that I can help
Yes.
push
Okay.
for, I'd be
No
really
problem.
interested.
I'll put you in touch. Thank you.
So yeah, on the road safety stuff, I used to shoot a lot of video stuff. If you want stuff made quickly, I'm happy to donate my time to make anything.
Amazing.
Used to shoot stuff.
We-
You shoot stuff for news and stuff. So it's a lot.
Amazing.
So,
I think we will definitely be following up.
I'll have to donate my time to it.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Zoe? Any other questions, comments? Councillor Green?
Thank you. Really pleased to see certainly, focus on fly tipping, rural and wildlife crime, and the domestic violence as well. I'm just wondering about the focus on locations close to the M6 motorway. And is there any possibility that that could include the M42? Because I know certainly later on in the report, it does talk about the increased crime in Osprey, Wood End, the Dorden and Brendan, I think. And I get we can't focus on everywhere, that's the whole point of focusing, but I do feel there's enough in the report to justify adding M42 as well.
Don't see that
I think,
being a problem.
Yes, there are focuses, but everything is investigated. Focus doesn't take it off others. It's just that this one gets a little bit more focus than that one. They all get a degree of focus. Okay.
So I would like to come in. Thank you again for producing the report. I didn't realise you did it all on your own. So and push everything forward at the same time. It's not a reflection on you. It's just really depressing to see my villages in the reports of domestic violence increasing. Is there anything that we can put out? I'm happy to stop at the doors if you get to. It's just a case of leaving the door. Literally drop off the doorstep, half person from the door.
Chair. Yes, so there is quite a lot that we would like to do. I've been having conversations with Warwickshire County Council to see, first, I think the feeling is that we want to see more reporting of DA, domestic abuse. We feel it's underreported. That's our belief. So we actually want to see those numbers go up, which is not, some people, it's a discussion beforehand. You often want to see numbers go down, but we actually want to see that go up. The conversations I've had with Warwickshire County Council is around, I was asking whether they could take a conversation with their kind of transport team and highways, because I wanted to know whether I could get posters put on vehicles, buses, and bus shelters and stuff like that. And I was getting nowhere with any of the conversations that I was having. So my contact at the county, she's now come back and said, well, we actually want to do that as a county-wide project rather than just a district, which is great because they all pay for it. So that's perfect. We like that. But on top of that, there's a number of different things. We want to do some stuff with schools, primary schools. We want to be able to, there's a project in Northamptonshire, which I mentioned in this project. And it was really about getting young people to be able to communicate with a safe adult and explain what their bad feelings are in their tummy. Because we know the young people do witness things that are not appropriate physically. and can be at the hands of that as well. We are quite keen to start talking and doing a project around hairdressers. It's been done in other areas. It's called the Cut It Out campaign. Sorry, I'm talking one way.
That's fine.
Called the Cut It Out campaign, and that's very much around educating hairdressers to be able, or training hairdressers to be able to have that conversation with clients if it came up and is appropriate. Because we all like to sit and talk to our hairdressers about what's going on in our lives and probably confide more than, than other kind of people. So we would like to look at that project. There is also the White Ribbon charity. It's an aspiration, but we would love to kind of sign up, see if we could get the ball game to sign up to the White Ribbon charity and our football clubs and see if we can get them signed up. And that's very much around, violence against women will not be tolerated. So there's quite a few things at the moment that we're really looking into and trying to get our teeth in. So happy to have more conversations. These are just some of the initial thoughts as we look at our, we need to look at the data and see where it's happening, why we think it's happening, what does it tell us, and then try and reflect that in terms of what we're going to do to respond.
Yeah, no.
Could you just let me know what posters you're making, and I will just literally shake a few trees and get some communities to pay for it. We'll just do that ourselves.
I can probably get you posters. There's some. These are my favourite posters. There's some posters, and they talk about different types of domestic abuse. So it's not necessarily physical. It can be controlling, it could be financial, whatever. But there's some that, and I'll get some more. And they've got tiny little tear off strips with a telephone number, and you can just roll it up and put it in your bag, and no one would know you've got it. I would like those. That's what I would really like to get out, because they're absolutely brilliant. And they're up in Warwickshire County Council in all the ladies' toilets. I'm sure they're in the men's toilets as well. And there is often.
I won't put the ladies' toilets for you, but I'll put them in. I'm more than happy to do that. So yeah, if you just want to put them in the group, brilliant.
Yeah.
As many as you can. I'll put them.
I'll let people know.
I'll do Piccadilly as well. So all three,
Okay.
all three lodges.
Yeah.
So I was only just going to say, if you need any contacts for Stagecoach to get on the back of the buses, I worked at Stagecoach for a very long time. Yeah, I got Harley road safety on the back of the buses, so please let me know.
No, that's great. Thank you.
Just reminded me of that one. I've said it in other meetings that we have some dustbin lorries that go around every street twice a week. That they are an ideal advertising thing. But my opinion is we underutilise that,
Yeah.
because they're out every day, and every street that we all live in gets at least 2 visits a week. I mean, that is I won't say it's free, but it's the cost of printing and something and sticking it on the side.
It doesn't
The
have,
circulation is immense.
it doesn't have to be even absolutely amazing, does it? It just has to be the writing.
That's it.
Yeah, the number.
Yeah, just a
The barcode.
punchy thing.
Yeah.
Councillor.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I mean, it's fascinating to hear, and I think I do agree. I think it's all about communication and kind of letting people know, but making sure these are in safe places where, as you say, they can something off the bottom, slip it in the pocket, so they're not one. From a county perspective, I may be able to help from the buses as well, because I'm on the bus service improvement working group. I was wondering about businesses. Is there anything that we do with business, with the private sector, to kind of get this message out there?
Again, sorry, Chair.
Yeah.
Again, that White Ribbon campaign, that's very much about working with businesses as well and getting those messages out. So I think in terms of preparing this partnership plan, because I'll need to prepare a new partnership plan for our new priorities, hopefully bring that back to the next meeting. I think this is an opportune moment to kind of have a look at, the different areas that we need to cover and start working on that basically. So my plan is to basically each of our priorities is to identify a champion in terms of, it could be a county rep or it might be somebody locally to own those 5-6 actions and then help with the reporting in, because at the moment that's again me, but I think there's better placed people to be able to who are better informed to be able to input.
Yeah, if I could just come back, and I think it's really important because, as Owen said, the fact that you do all of this on your own, is really impressive. But go out through other members, because there's a number of twin hatters that sit in the chamber. They've got contacts in, assuming they're re-elected. Obviously, we've got elections in May, but whatever happens, you'll have people who have access to the officers at county. Sometimes their elected member kind of bending their ear.
Helps.
It helps, yes, exactly.
Thank you, thank you.
Right. I'd like to record from the chair the immense amount of work that Julie does. I know, having speaking to her fairly regular, she's always up to her ears in statistics or work. So well done, Julie, and thanks for all the hard work that you do.
Thanks.
Right. I'd like to move from the chair then the recommendation. Recommendations A, B, and C. Seconded by Councillor Watson. All those in favour? Thank you, that's unanimous. At 7:27, declare the meeting closed. Thank you.